Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack open a really cool tool that savvy investors use to look at risk in a whole new light. We're talking about a stock's secret identity, its unique fingerprint that tells you so much more than just a price chart. Let's dive right in.
So, have you ever noticed this? The whole market's tanking, but a few stocks, maybe like Tesla or Nvidia, are just off in their own little world, maybe even going up. They seem to dance to a completely different rhythm. What is going on there? How do they just ignore what everyone else is doing?
Well, the answer, the real secret, is something we call a correlation fingerprint. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a unique pattern, just like your own fingerprint, that reveals a stock's true personality and how it really relates to the rest of the market. And trust me, once you learn how to read these things, you'll see your portfolio in a completely new way. Okay, so to get this fingerprint idea, we got to start with the basics, the correlation coefficient. All it is a simple number on a scale from -1 to +1. If you've got two stocks with a +1 correlation, they're like twins, moving in perfect lockstep. -1, they're polar opposites. One goes up, the other goes down. And 0, that means there's no relationship at all. Their movements are completely random relative to each other. That little number is our first clue.
But here's where it gets really cool. What if you didn't just check a stock's correlation with one other stock? What if you checked it against, well, pretty much all of them, thousands of them? When you take all those numbers and plot them on a graph, you get this unique shape, this curve. And that shape, that collection of all its relationships, that's the fingerprint.
So what do we want to see? What's a good fingerprint look like for an investor? Well, you're looking for a nice, balanced, bell-shaped curve that's centered right around 0. That tells you the stock doesn't move in sync with most other stocks. It's a fantastic diversifier. A risky fingerprint, on the other hand, looks lopsided, skewed way off to one side. That's a red flag that the stock is moving in lockstep with way too much of the market, which actually adds a hidden, concentrated risk to your portfolio.
All right, enough theory. Let's do the fun stuff. Time to put on our detective hats and actually run the prints on 3 of the biggest, most talked about stocks on the planet: Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla.
First up to the plate, the behemoth itself, Apple. You know, it's one of the biggest companies in the world, so you'd probably guess it just moves with the market, right? Well, its fingerprint tells let's say, a more interesting story.
So when we look at Apple's print, a few things jump out. The middle of the curve, its center, is pretty close to 0. So that's good. It has a generally weak connection to the overall market. It's got that nice broad bell shape. But look closer. See that second smaller hump over at the +0.5 mark? That's the tell. That's the clue that shows that even though Apple is a decent diversifier, it's still got a pretty strong connection to its buddies in big tech.
Okay, next case file, Nvidia, the absolute superstar of the AI boom. This stock has been on a truly wild ride, and you better believe its fingerprint is just as unique.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? For months, even years, NVIDIA's price had everything to do with AI demand and almost nothing to do with what the S&P 500 was doing. It was just on its own solo mission. So its fingerprint should reflect that, right?
And it does. The center of its fingerprint is parked right near 0, confirming that super low market correlation. You also see this really wide shape, which means its relationship with other stocks is all over the place. But here's the catch, the really important feature. The low correlation is paired with insanely high individual volatility. And that changes things.
And for our final case, let's pull the file on the one, the only Tesla. A stock that's famous for marching to the beat of its own drum, or, maybe just the beat of its CEO's social media posts.
Now, Tesla's fingerprint is just a thing of beauty if you're looking for low correlation. It is the textbook example. The center is almost perfectly on 0, the lowest of all 3 we looked at. It's a classic, beautiful bell curve. And as you can probably guess, this means its price moves are all about Tesla-specific news, not broad market trends. It is the ultimate lone wolf of the group. Okay, so we've dusted for prints. We've analyzed the evidence. But what does it all mean for you, the investor? How do we turn all this cool detective work into an actual, practical strategy? This table right here puts it all together perfectly. Apple? With its pretty low correlation but that definite link to tech and its moderate volatility, it's a solid core holding. Now, NVIDIA and Tesla, they are amazing diversifiers because their correlation is so low, but, and this is a big but, their sky-high volatility means they fit into more of an aggressive or high-risk diversifier role. They add a unique flavor, but you probably wouldn't build your whole house on that foundation.
And that brings us to the single most important point of this entire explainer. So please, listen up. Low correlation is awesome for diversification, but it is only half of the equation. A stock that zigs when the market zags is great, but if that zig is a sudden 20% nosedive, it's still going to sting. You absolutely have to balance the benefit of low correlation with the risk of that stock's individual volatility.
So, how do you take all this and apply it yourself? Let's walk through a super simple framework that lets you become your own portfolio detective.
It's really just a simple 4-step process. First, you analyze the fingerprint. Is it centered and bell-shaped, or is it all skewed? Second, you check that stock's individual risk, its volatility. Third, based on those two things, you assign it a job. Is it a core holding or a diversifier? And finally, step 4, and this one's crucial, you have to monitor it. These fingerprints aren't set in stone. They change, especially when the market gets weird.
By looking past just the price and analyzing these unique correlation fingerprints, you can finally understand the true job each stock is doing for you. You can build a smarter, tougher portfolio that isn't just a grab bag of tickers, but a carefully chosen team. So it really just leaves one question. What secrets are hiding in your portfolio's fingerprints?